everybody, coming at y'all with another Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your boy, Dee Dot. If this is your first time checking out the Major Music Podcast, this is where we talk to music producers, sound designers, music production app developers, music producers that create content on YouTube or Instagram, and then, anybody really that plays a role in the music industry. We like to have conversations really about, whatever it is they do, whether it is the things that I just mentioned. Also, they could be involved in like music marketing, like an A&R also. I want to talk to you. You can actually hit me up at majormusicent@gmail.com. Let me know you're interested in getting on the show and we'll get you booked. Currently, what I'm trying to do is book more interviews for the end of 2021. This show is pre-recorded, so depending on whenever you see this, right now is November 8th. So definitely get at me if you're interested in being on the show. I'll probably do about another 5 to 6 shows to wrap up the year. And then I'm going to start doing recording for season 3, which I'll probably start sometime maybe late January, early February. We'll kind of check that out, but I'm definitely lining up interviews. So if you have any type of projects or maybe you released something recently, get at me. Again, majormusicent@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at D._majormusic. Follow me on Twitter at D.mme. And go ahead, hit the subscribe button if you came to this channel. This isn't just a podcast on this channel. Also, I like to post beat making videos. I also like to talk about the latest gear and software and also iOS apps for music production. So you can definitely tune into this channel for those things. Now let's go ahead and get into the interview. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your boy Dee Dot coming through today with 2 special guests, Vagabond from Beyond and Grimsleeper. What's good, fellas?
What's good?
Oh man, not much, man. Just enjoying this nice chill November day and knocking out some interviews for the end of the year. Pleasure to have y'all on. I know we've been kind of chopping it up back and forth over the last couple of weeks or so. So definitely a pleasure to have you on, talk about some of the things that you're doing. What's been good with y'all?
Not much, man. Just working at the tunes. Just crushed out a new one with Words on the weekend. That should be coming out soon. Just dropped a new track there with Killer Crabman. Big group track. Got 6 wicked MCs on there. That's basically it. And just getting ready for the next album and stuff. Always working, right?
Yeah, man. I know how that is. Always working. Same. I'm an artist too. I produce. I do this podcast. So it's a never-ending process, man. Just as long as you're staying productive. I guess where we could start at, before we get into some of your music, tell me a little bit about, how did y'all get started as far as doing music? Who are some of your inspirations? We could start there.
Oh, I mean, me and Grim, we've been friends pretty much almost our whole life. Like, we've known each other since we were kids, grew up together. We used to have a metal band back in high school. We used to do the heavy metal. And I moved out to Alberta. He lives in Ontario. So about 2 years ago, we kind of just, started talking about getting together and making music again. And I was like, yo, let's try this hip hop stuff out. We were both kind of into it at the time, big into like Apathy, Army of the Pharaohs, those types of things. Sean Price, love the Boot Camp Click, KRS-One, like all that stuff, man, like real hip hop. And it just kind of went from there and we started putting it together. First album came out in August and that's basically it. Just been rolling ever since.
Yeah. I actually listened to that album Doom Bap on Bandcamp. And, it's funny you mentioned like Sean Price and KRS-One. I did get those kind of vibes, when I heard it, that old school hip hop vibe. Was there any other like inspiration as far as, the concept of the album? Where did y'all get the whole concept for the album?
Obviously, it kind of just it grew as the album was being made, right? We kind of just started out. And again, we wanted to take things back to that old school hip hop, obviously we love that shit, so we wanted to just keep that alive. And it just kind of went from there where we just started building this it's almost like you're watching a horror movie or something, but it's the classics, right? You love that shit. So
we wanted to put a dark, a doomy feel on that old school hip hop style, and just kind of like almost mix like heavy, dark, almost like metal, but more orchestral kind of sounds and stuff like that with that style, and kind of just have our own lane that we I know other people do it, but we just wanted to have our own sound and sound a little bit of a little bit of like a hybrid, a mix between heavy hitting drums and really dark atmospheric sounds too.
Yeah, yeah. Do y'all do a lot of y'all production, or who do y'all work with in terms of your production?
Yeah, I do all the production pretty much. On the album, we had one feature from Killer Crabman. They did like a G funk type of style that I can't do. I'm not very West Coast, but yeah, they killed it, and that's why we put them on the album. But yeah, I did everything else on them.
Word. If you don't mind me asking, what do you use to do your production?
Honestly, I use Serato Sample. Logic Pro X is the DAW I run, and I just use an MPK.
MPK, yeah.
That's all I use pretty much. I mean, I used to have a lot of bass guitars, and I used to have a lot of guitars, and I'm a drummer, so I used to have a drum kit with really nice jazz cymbals that I was hoping to incorporate in the next album. I ended up having a fire, and I lost everything, so I've just been kind of sticking to my MPK lately. But
Word. Yeah, I use Logic as well, mainly Logic and a little bit of MPC and Machine.
Nice.
I like a lot of the upgrades that Logic has came out with recently. How long have you been using Logic?
I've been using it for I think 4 years, but only making hip hop for a bit over 2. But I've been just messing around with song structure and stuff like that, different genres, just working on my skills to compose and that. And then I got into sampling after that. I used to be all about composing more, and then I learned the art of sampling, and that's kind of like stolen my heart for the meantime. I haven't really composed in a while, other than my bass lines. I usually compose them, but yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So how long have you been producing for?
Since 2005. Yeah.
Nice. That's a long time.
Yeah, man. It's amazing how much time flies, and and not to say that I didn't think I would be doing it as long, but when you're having fun, you don't realize how many years go by.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a blessing to be still doing it 16 years later. And I want to get into some other things as time progresses. What I kind of wanted to ask you yourself is, this is really for both of y'all, mentioning you had a background before in heavy metal.
Yeah, metal and like hardcore post-punk kind of style.
Yeah. How was that transition into hip hop? Because I had another guest recently who, same thing. He told me he was in a rock band before he became like a hip hop producer, and he mentioned a lot of similarities, though the dynamics between the two genres are kind of a little different. I guess you could say creating music is going to be a little bit similar at the end of the day. But like, what was I guess the question I'm asking is, what did you notice was different about transitioning from that type of music to hip hop?
The thing I would say, well, I find there are similarities, like boom bap and heavy metal. Like when they do breakdowns in heavy metal, they're very hard hitting, and they really make your head bob. So that's a big similarity I find. That it's very easy to do the boom bap style if you're used to the sort of style of metal that we were into, and it took a while to get it sounding more hip hop and more like you could dance to it. There definitely at the beginning, it still sounded pretty metal, but yeah, I found the the similarities between the genres very like more than I expected. I thought it was very easy and natural to transfer my skills, and that's actually part of our sound. I think is that we have this little tinge of metal or like really heavy music that gets your head bobbing. That's kind of like where I took my skills from metal and incorporated them into our boom bap. So yeah, that's where the whole doom bap name came from, the concept, which is really dark boom bap.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. I like that name, first of all, doom bap. You know, that caught me off guard when I looked at it, and I was like, okay. Once I started listening to some of the tracks, it made a whole lot of sense after that. And you guys, y'all from Canada, correct?
Yeah. I'm from Ontario, and Vagabond's from Alberta.
How's the hip hop scene up there?
It's pretty good. Definitely not what it's like in the States. Definitely in like New York and Los Angeles and that. But it's still like I would say probably about half the people listen and like hip hop here. So it's probably one of the more popular musics, if not the most popular right now. So, but this style is the thing. It doesn't, oftentimes it girls aren't into it oftentimes, or people that like the more mainstream, more trappy beats don't often appreciate the organic sounding drums and the dustiness from the vinyl samples and that. But yeah, I find when people hear our stuff, they're usually like, the response I get a lot of times is like, "Oh, you made that? Like, I thought that was someone famous or something like that." So we're getting good feedback, but we're not in a lane that we're gonna blow up in or anything. But yeah, definitely people like our stuff. Yeah, who have listened.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's kind of funny that you say that, because I feel like in 2021 going into 2022, I feel like in previous years that whole underground scene has kind of, I won't say faded, but it wasn't talked about as much. But I feel like now it's kind of starting to come back to the forefront. I feel like there's a whole group of guys like yourself and me, and a whole lot of other artists that are really rocking now for the underground. Like, do you see, as far as the future, do you see like that whole dark hip hop or boom bap style even becoming more relevant in the future, like it was maybe like 20 years ago?
I think I'll let Vagabond answer this one right now.
I mean, I think it's going to come back. I think it's coming back. I think you can see like more and more dudes now that, they were always out there and they were killing it and stuff. But I see them now finally getting their roses and stuff. Like Recognize Ali is like just taking the game by storm right now. Like Imperative is blowing up out of Canada. Shout out Imperative. Yeah, like I see it actually making quite a big comeback now. I think people are I think you crave organicness. I think you crave real stuff after a while. You know what I mean? Everything goes in cycles. Life moves in cycles, right? So I mean, like everything comes back into style, and I think we're seeing that now for sure.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I think groups like Griselda and stuff like that, they kind of, even though they're not like as dark as us, like we stick to like mainly just dark stuff. They have a tinge of darkness to a lot of their stuff, and I think that's kind of like proven to a lot of people in our genre that there is some hunger for that style. So
yeah, I totally agree, like, with those statements. Everything does go in a cycle. It's like when the 2000s came around, I feel as that decade kind of progressed, that's when that trap sound kind of took over towards the tail end of that. And a lot of like the boom bap style kind of went underground. And I feel like, I even just thinking back to like not only y'all, but other guests that I've had probably in the last couple of months, having similar styles in terms of doing boom bap music. And being a hip hop fan for so long, I really appreciate everybody just kind of creating the music that they want rather than just trying to fit in with what everybody else is doing. I think at one time that's what a lot of like independent artists were trying to do. Everybody was trying to make trap songs, everybody wanted to make music with 808s, and now it's not the case anymore. A lot more people are starting to, you know, make the music that they want now. Now I also noticed as far as like a lot of your releases is everything going to be pretty much like Bandcamp and Spotify, or do you have your music in other places too?
We have it on DistroKid, so I'm pretty sure it's on. Every platform. Okay, but yeah, our physicals are with Coca Reef, so you can get those at cocareef.com. That's the record label that we're on. But yeah, it's pretty much we're everywhere you can think of.
Yeah, and as far as like Bandcamp, I'm noticing too, like not just you guys, but a lot more people are starting to utilize Bandcamp. And one of the things that I do like about Bandcamp is that you can make a lot more off of your projects than you can on the other platforms. What was, I guess, your motivation behind building on Bandcamp? Because a lot of people still are just on the other platforms. I'm on Bandcamp too, but I haven't really updated in a long time. And I think it's starting to really get, like, I remember when Bandcamp first started, like probably 10, 15 years ago. And when it first started, I think there was a lot of attention, a lot of hype around it. Then it kind of died around the time, you know, when your DistroKids came up. Reverb Nation is another one that a lot of people use. So what was your, I guess, was it the fact that you could make more money on Bandcamp, or you could reach a different audience? What was kind of your motivation of releasing music on Bandcamp? Because a lot of people still don't know, you know, the Bandcamp game.
Yeah, so pretty much we have our record deal with Coca Reef Records, and we decided, because they had way more followers and way more reach than us, that we were going to go on their Bandcamp. So all of their releases they put on their Bandcamp with all the links to sell the merchandise, etc. And we're also on their DistroKid as well. So we just decided to go do that route because we weren't getting. We're still not getting very many listens. We got to work on our marketing a bit more, but we decided to go that route with them because we knew it would get us more than what we were getting before. But that's definitely our weakness in terms of being artists, is our marketing. We're all about the music, and we got to start paying more attention to getting our music out there.
Yeah, that definitely a good call, you know, myself as well, because times have changed from, you know, I felt like I think I'm still okay when it comes to the marketing, but I could probably get better. And the other thing I do like is, I'm not following yourself yet, but following Vagabond on Instagram. And I just noticed that even having a basic presence of just posting your content, it doesn't have to be every day, but like, you know, I would say maybe a couple of times.
Yeah, just volume for sure.
Yeah, consistency.
Yeah. A lot of people don't even do that, and they're just making music and releasing it, and nobody knows that it's out there. So, you know, I commend you guys for that. I actually asked this question early to like everybody that comes on the show. Y'all both can chime in. How did you guys handle, you know, just navigating through the pandemic, creating new music and continuing to push? Because it wasn't easy. I know, like over here, being in lockdown, I did create more music over the last year. But like, you know, I knew some people out there in Canada as well. And from what I hear, y'all lockdown was a lot worse than what we had over here. Like, there was a lot of places that closed. But how did you guys navigate through the pandemic as far as being able to stay creative and continuing to release music?
I mean, like, I guess that's kind of the beauty of hip hop, right? Is like, especially now with like the way everything works, you can just do it mostly online, right? As long as you got your own little setup and you don't need studio time or nothing like that. I mean, it's very grassroots, right? Like that's kind of the beauty of it. Like anybody can just like, if you can figure it out, man, you got passion, you can do it. So I mean, like, I didn't really find it was that bad. I mean, it sucks not being able to like get shows booked and shit. That for sure is no fun. But I mean, like maybe networking was a little bit harder, but I think overall, I think it just it almost fires you up some, right? You get forced into a corner, and the claws come out. So yeah, I don't see it being like too bad of a thing at all, really. Like, I mean, it sucks being locked down, but hey, man, lots of time to make music and shit, right? And get some good stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. What about you, Grim?
I haven't really noticed it affecting too much. Just mainly because I had that fire in my apartment last year, and I had a breakup right after that. So with my mother's with my child's mother, and what ended up happening was I lost everything. So that's been more my focus this year. Has just been trying to get my life back financially, and like for instance, I lost a lot of my instruments, and I love playing bass guitar, and I was really hoping to be able to write bass lines on an actual bass instead of having to use my MPK. But yeah, I haven't noticed the COVID effect so much because of bigger things happening to me. So I've been kind of lucky. That's the silver lining there in that.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't much of a change for me either. I mean, to be real, kind of along the lines of, some of what y'all was saying, like, unless I'm doing like a performance or anything, I don't step out too much. I'm always recording and in the lab trying to create. And it didn't really change much for me personally, except the fact that I had more time to make music because I couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
What I want to ask you, Grim, is as far as production, you mentioned you're into playing bass and you were a drummer as well.
Yeah.
How has the ability to play live instruments like overall helped you as a music producer?
Huge. If anything like that is like, I would recommend any producer who is used to doing the producer route of using like a drum machine or an MPK, MPC, to also learn any type of instrument. I personally found drumming the most beneficial, just because if you have rhythm, it's gonna come out in every instrument you play. You're gonna have that rhythm and be able to apply it to any instrument. I would definitely recommend that. And as for melody too, like even if you learn guitar or bass guitar, you'll be that much further up, and you'll be able to transfer those skills to something like a keyboard. You'll be able to play bass guitar on a keyboard, and it won't be so alien to you because you're so used to moving your fingers in a certain pattern, or you can adapt very quickly when you've been writing or playing instruments, practicing instruments. Definitely one of the biggest things in terms of like theory and stuff like that. Like I'm not very theoretically, I don't have a lot of theoretical knowledge, but I understand how the different like major keys mixed with minor keys and all that stuff, relative keys. I comprehend that, and I look at it more like a math equation. And it's like, as long as I do that kind of thing, then I can be more creative with the tactile, like touching the pads on the MPC and have fun with that. But if I didn't have that knowledge in instruments, I don't think it would have taken me that much longer to be able to get everything in key. And I would have had to do everything by ear, which I could do, but it's definitely harder. You have to train that part. And I'd rather just know that, okay, I'm this sample's in A minor and this one's in C major. So they're okay. I don't have to pitch one up or down. Like that's the beneficial part of knowing real instruments.
Yeah. I always recommend, like, for any creator to learn at least one instrument. Back in my high school and middle school days, I was a brass player, played a couple of different brass instruments, and that definitely helped me as far as becoming a producer and being able to create music. And I don't even I still own a trumpet, but I haven't really put a lot of those sounds into my music. But like you were saying, it definitely helped me at least having a basic understanding of what music theory looks like, and how to just create music, because a lot of people don't do that. They play by ear, and that's still cool too. We're all creators, but I think that at the end of the day that a lot of these guys need to learn how to need to learn at least basic music theory.
Yeah. Definitely. Even like I was gonna say, even more big than learning an instrument, I would say. It's hard to say that because they're both really important, because the instrument, you get more of that field experience of actually hitting the notes on the right time and getting that muscle memory. But definitely the music theory is the biggest thing you can the more you excel in that, the more your music will excel, I find. So if you could take 6 months and just study music theory, it'll literally take your music to the next level, because you'll be able to understand all the concepts, all the different things that you do. You'll be able to know the names of them and be able to know where things fit. Like it opens a whole other door. Definitely learning music theory is the biggest thing as a producer, I think. And I don't even know it that well, but I understand it. And if I have the internet at my disposal, I know what to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Vagabond, want to ask, and this actually going to be for both of y'all as well, but what I want to also ask is if there's any message that you can give to an up and coming artist, even a producer, anybody that creates music, what would that be?
Honestly, practice, man. Just if you got 10 minutes, grab your pen, grab your pad, start laying down just anything you can think of. If you got an idea in your head, doesn't even have to be a rhyme. You know what I mean? Just lay yourself down, breadcrumbs, so that you have a trail to go on. Because there'll be times where I'm bad for it. Like I hit droughts all the time, and I'm like, oh man, what am I going to do now? Like, what do I want to write about? You know what I mean? You just dig through those notes. And I think that's the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody, even a producer. Like, you have an idea, just jot that sucker down. Like, I think that makes the biggest difference, really. Keeping yourself organized, right?
Yeah. The more repetition, the better you can get. What about you, Grim?
Yeah, I would say definitely remind yourself why you started and why you're doing it. Remind yourself that you love it and that you're doing it for that, because you're not going to get very few of musicians get the listen. So it's more about just doing it for yourself and having fun and enjoying it. Like all the best musicians that we all celebrate, they're all the best not because they want to be famous or that. They're just doing what they do. They were born to do that. And that's all you have to remember when you're doing it. If you don't have that desire, it's not meant for you at all. Like definitely have to have that love for it, and just have fun. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
And if you make it great. The biggest thing I think is just people listening to your art is that's the most rewarding part of it, other than the actual process of doing it. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. Like what I feel is there are certain group of people, and it's not so much these days I'm coming across people like that, but I remember coming across people that got into creating music as a way of trying to generate more money. And I think when you get in for that, you automatically lost, right away. And I think that whenever you just, and that's what I've learned probably, I would say more so, because I've been creating 16 years, but I think probably in the last 5 years, maybe even 10 years, I've learned more. Just create, and your audience is going to find you.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, we for instance, we noticed that with one of our fans in Ohio. He's in his 50s actually, which we thought that was pretty wicked, because we were expecting it to be a younger demographic, but it turns out a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds really like our music. And he found us and was just like, yeah, like I really dig what you guys are doing. I hear the sound and everything, and that's really rewarding. And that's literally just from grinding and doing what you want. No one really wants to. Well, it's kind of ironic that I say this, because people do listen to what everyone else listens to, but a lot of people are hungry for something that's different. And if you have that, you're gonna find fans, like no matter what, because you're just a little bit different and you have some of the influences that they listen to. So yeah, that's what I have to say for that.
Yeah, especially now, it's like, we talked about all the way that mainstream music has become, and yeah, you're absolutely correct. Now people are just trying to search for that different sound just to kind of escape and discover some new music. I know, like, I've been kind of on that wave for a while. Like, I hardly ever listen to mainstream radio. I don't really like too much mainstream music. Certain people I do like, but I find more gratification listening to independent artists, because I feel like creatively they have a lot more input on what they create. And other than like a label, where, not to say that everybody gets treated this way, but I feel like when you're with the label, sometimes they kind of tell you what to create and how to create. And
totally.
You can feel that authenticity when you hear a lot of other people's records.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. That's one of the reasons why we love our label so much, is because it was more like they were just like, we love what you guys are doing, kind of thing. And they're like, we think you'd be a great fit. So it wasn't like, it's not a label. They're a smaller label. They're awesome. And they really just put their trust in us to know what our sound is. And I love that. It is sad when, especially, I find the saddest thing is when you have an artist that you actually enjoy, and then as they get bigger and bigger and their albums keep going, they become more and more plastic, more and more synthetic, more and more. And yeah, I think that's a shame, because people harp on those people a lot for selling out for the money and stuff. But I think a lot of people would be naive to think that they wouldn't do the same. And but at the same time, like, the people who really love what they're doing and they really love the specific genre, that's the thing about boom bap, I find, is that, like, when you listen to it, you love it. Like, you're 100%, like, it's it becomes the well, for me, it became like the one style of hip hop that I really love. And there are some songs of other styles that I like, but I can't lie, that is the one,
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I've always had a love for boom bap hip hop, probably my first love when it came to music. Before we exit for the interview, where can everybody find you, like, online? Go ahead, like, give your Instagram, and if you're on Twitter, what are your social media handles?
I'm on Instagram at Real Vagabond from Beyond, and we got Facebooks there, and we also got Grimsleeper and Vagabond Instagram. We're on Bandcamp. We're looking at other avenues. I'm sure you'll see us pop up on other places for sure, but right now just mostly Facebook and Instagram and our Bandcamp and cocareefrecords.com. You can grab all our physicals there. We got some sharp looking vinyls and some nice fucking CDs left, so scoop them up while they're still around.
Sure. What about you, Grim?
My Instagram handle is the Grimsleeper Beat, just straight out, no underscores or anything. And like Vagabond said, I'm on Facebook too. Just search up the Grimsleeper or Vagabond from Beyond. And we're on Spotify, YouTube Music. Yeah, pretty much anywhere you can think of. And I just want to say shout out to Coke Reef Records for putting us on. And I really appreciate you giving us this time to talk with you about these things. It's been cool.
No problem. I definitely gotta hit you with a follow. I'm gonna hit you with a follow today.
Yeah, same. So for sure, man. We should talk more about producing and stuff.
No problem at all. It was definitely a pleasure to have y'all and have this conversation today. And I appreciate you guys coming on as well. And anytime you have anything coming in the future, feel free to reach out to me, and we'll definitely make it happen again.
All right, sounds good
for sure, man. It's been a blast.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Definitely. This has been another edition of the Major Music Lounge with Dee Dot. You can follow me on Instagram at D._Major Music, as well as you can catch all these episodes on Fridays here on YouTube, as well as all podcast streaming platforms. And until next time, we're out.